Hey, welcome back to part two. We're going to expand on what we already learned. If you haven't got a full grasp of the first one video, I would encourage you to go back and get a full grasp of that. Again, we needed to know roots on our fifth and sixth strings there. Most of the examples that I'm showing here are in A, well, playing in A, but I'm showing you in C. Okay, let's jump right back in. This is where we left off. We had those were the dominant inversions. Like in this example, it's C, playing the lowest one. What is that? Middle, second one, third one, and fourth one. Hopefully you played around with that one chord static jam track. This is the leaning ones that we did just to show you where to put those, or where at least get started with the sequence. Okay, so now we're moving on to minor sixth. Now, the whole point of the Barry Harris methodology, as far as this person, as far as me, is able to discern, is that by playing a minor sixth on the fifth of the target dominant, you get a dominant 7 with a 9 and a 13th. So it's supposed to be you play this shape instead of dominant, and you get this C, or C7, 9, 13, this really complex thing without having to think about it. Well, even that seemed like a lot to think of. So I was just looking a way to spatially tie them together. And so after writing things out and writing things down, crumpling pieces of paper, I kind of came up with, you can kind of see this. Let's just go over to the minor sixth. We can see that I've got three versions of the minor sixth here. We've got that first one, the second one, got the third one, and then the third or the fourth one. These are all in relation to C. What I started to notice when I was writing them out is that I could put them next to the dominant. So if we just learned that dominant like we did in the last video, here I've unintentionally put some of his green leaning roots. You can see them right next to each other. Like the first one is going to be, that's going to be a G minor sixth to a C dominant 7. And what you're seeing there, that's not that crazy of a leap right there. But I saw, instead of thinking of the G minor sixth, I'm just thinking this is right next to this dominant. I'm not even having to think about minor sixth. I'm skipping that translation that I talked about earlier. I'm not having to think about what it is and what it's doing. It's just as much as I am just play it there. The second one, it's actually even easier. You can see in the second iteration that I'm just taking that flat seventh and raising it to a sixth. And then this is the third grouping. Fourth grouping. Let's blow this up and so you can see what I'm doing here. Quite a bit of, wrong one again. I'm a YouTube expert. You get a lot of things happening when like these are all in C. So if you see a C7 or a static diminished chord at any place, there's quite a bit of stuff happening there that you can do, and it's not turning your brain into a pretzel. I want to show these next to each other on the full board. On the top row, we have our minor sixth shapes, and this, I intentionally left the roots and the chord qualities up because I just want you to spatially tie them together. You're just tying these shapes together, almost considering them as one, because you are getting the sixth on the fifth with the top one. You're getting the sixth on the fifth on the bottom one, or the middle one. So there's just a lot that you don't have to do or think about. You're just seeing a chord, and you've already become comfortable with those 4 iterations of the dominant 7 that we did back in video 1. So it's not a huge stretch just to add an extra note and get this extra bit of tonality. Now, and this keeps expanding. So right now we've got two options to play for a 5. We can do this minor 6th. We can do a regular dominant 7th. Or we can do both. That's the cool thing about it. We can do both at the same time. We've got a lot of little options there. Um, Something I did want to show you though is just like the last video, when we lower any note on the diminished chord, make that a little bigger. Lower any note on the diminished chord, we'd end up with a dominant 7th. Well, what do you think's happening when we raise any one of these notes? It becomes a minor 6th. It's not as clean of a correlation as the one that's raised becomes the root as it is for the dominant. So once again, when we take a diminished chord, we lower any one note, it becomes a dominant. If we raise any one note, so you can kind of compare this shape, next to these. You can see, oh, we raised one there. We raised one here. We've raised one here. We've raised one here. Again, you don't even have to think about that stuff because we're just tying them together spatially. We've got this. I'm just playing them in like one clean sequence because I'm not trying to jam out and do that YouTube impressor guy. I'm not that impressive of a player. I just thought that this is a much easier way than instead of having to look at an A dominant 7th and think, oh, I gotta play an E minor 6 to get that Barry Harris sound. I was like, nope, I can just flash between these. We haven't even got into like dropping the diminished chord in between these to make it a full Barry Harris 6th scale. But like I said, I don't think that that's essential as much because that's only one shape. And once you realize you can wedge it in between all of those, we'll save that on that. We're going to kick the can and save that on down the road. So I think that's probably it. Let's make sure we got our minor 6th together there. Yeah, I think that looks good. So you do the exact same thing where you go back to, like a 1-chord dominant 7 jam, maybe even the exact same one, and you can just practice flashing between these minor 6th and dominants right next to each other. So, for example, this song's an A. Leading back to the simplest thing I know is just grab the A in the 5th fret. Minor 6, dominant 7. Fourth pattern. Second grouping. First. Screwed up. Get the idea. So you increase the resolution again. We're leaning back again on the dominants. We're adding these little flashes into minor 6th. We're attaching the idea of minor 6th without having to think about it. And it's what's crazy about this is if you're wanting to make the conversion, playing a 6th on the 5th, you can look at these roots on the dominant chords, the pairings on the right hand side, and the roots are a 5th apart on everything. So it just naturally falls in line. Again, no thought. The whole point is of all this is to not have to make those language associations. We just want to be able to get this in and playing it. A parrot can say words but doesn't understand them, and I guess the same can be said about playing. I don't really need to understand it to play it. I do want to understand it, but I'm saying I want to play it first. I want to make sure that I'm getting this information in. So you think about, if you get this down, we add the next layer. Before long, your comping's turned into something completely different, and you're into a whole different stratosphere altogether. So appreciate you listening. Like it, share, whatever people say. I'm too old for YouTube, but thanks for listening.